going to that space. And so, I think a challenge for library design is, to create the spaces to be placed where you want to be, and so people get over the mindset of it's a library, and then failing that, have the resources be something that are just so engaging you're just there. And again, I think that's where library professionals, I think, can really, it's a different note, and it's tough. If you get a library professional whose primary goal is to facilitate, just check in, check out, or putting things on the stacks, it doesn't add to that.
So how do you see the interplay of electronic resources and physical resources?
That's a really interesting one, because so much is going to electronic, and I've got to admit, for our culture and our students, given a choice, if everything was electronic, that would be, that's the preferred mode, because most of us, when we're working with working with things, it's like, you have an idea, you've got a thing, I want to go grab it where I am. And if you look on campus, most folks work with mobile computing anyway, and so, I'm one of the only people in the building that has an office, and even then, I only succumbed to it in the last year. We try to not work that way. We try to work in a mobile context, and so I want my resources where I am when I think of it.
Right.
And there's also just sort of it's the Kindle mentality, where the challenge with physical resources is the toting around and the accessing. I mean, it's if I can get everything on a device that's as thin as a Kindle or or a laptop, it makes it easier to my research. Like when I'm doing research, I don't want to have to say, oh my gosh, I need to get this thing trumped down to a library, get a stack of physical collection that I then have to tote around for me every time I'm trying to find something. I want it electronic. I want to be able to keyword search it, so I can get it when and where I need it. And here's as an opportunity from a library perspective, a future libraries, is to help facilitate that. I had a conversation with one of our providers, Gartner. What they do is they provide very leading edge. What are tech trends? If you want to find out what technology is going to look like in 5 years, you ask Gartner. Challenge that they have is everything that exists, you have to go through a Gartner portal and physically kind of search around the Gartner zone and bring it back across. And which is okay. Like when I'm in research mode, I can do that. But I miss tons of their stuff because it doesn't appear to me. They called me yesterday and were talking about our student foot traffic on Gartner, and they said, well, you don't really use Gartner that much, but that's weird because you should. And I said, well, here's the challenge. It's like you guys put out different things every month. Our students don't know it's there. It's like they're not treating Gartner like Facebook. They don't open up their computer and innately let's run over to Gartner and see what the new webinar is.
Right.
But as a resource, if their webinars, which have MP3s attached, if you could subscribe and those things automatically push like an RSS feed. Imagine if you are someone who is into tech trends or whatever trending, you'll pick your field you want to futz with. But if you have a resource and you could link it to your Facebook and you say, hey, look, here's what I want. Rather than just getting absolute random stumble upon information, which is occasionally fun, can you publish in this section, this tab, can I please portal through everything that's in that my area, in which case maybe Gartner or TED or places like that, push that right to here for me, so I can just tab over and I can see it, then I can extract what I want. And there's infrastructure issues with that, but if you think about the future of what would the role of a librarian be in the future? This could be a part of it, is that how do you portal the right information to the people so it's transparent? Because once again, once we left the land of you go to a library and you go to the stacks and you research, which really I think only a certain segment of people enjoy doing that. Once we go into the land of no, we have a lot of information and everybody wants to access it. The trick is you have to get it to the people, and they don't want to go look for it. If a librarian skill set became one of we know how to get this stuff linked over to you, or how to talk, how to engage with the providers, the ProQuest or whoever, to say, yes, I know you've got this wonderful thing here, but if you wait for a student to do a keyword search to get it, you're only going to get researchers. Imagine if, in a really interesting ideal place, imagine, you provided students with a service where, based upon maybe your course lists or the keywords of things you posted in discussion boards or your behaviors in an online environment, okay? Right. You were able to go off to ProQuest or EBSCO or Gartner or wherever and extract what appear to be relevant. You might like this. Think of it as like Netflix. You know, in Netflix, you just
or
watch.
Like Amazon.
Yeah, and
it's like you like this, well, bump, 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 bump.
Right, exactly. And if imagine like the new librarian skill set would be to help build that infrastructure so that the electronic stuff is there. How portaling that over seamlessly so that it's just in front of students in a somewhat relevant way without them searching for it, because oftentimes people don't know what they like, but when they find it they go, oh, that's insanely cool.
Right.
And crack that and it's like that you've got something that's incredibly valuable. Now as far as physical collection goes as interplay, I have a special relationship with physical collection because I'm at tech school. And so for us, physical collection is less so because it's just we deal with with resources that are all new. But what we do see here is our physical collection is more about things that aren't books but are relevant. It's interesting to go to the library and see the obvious stuff like computer games and DVDs are there, but something we often talk about is we have tech toys. If you imagine the librarian's role and the library as being a resource beyond just books and audio and things like that, but now it becomes, no, look, here is a technology from, I was just thinking of a site called WorldViz, which does some really interesting things in simulation tech that are actual physical stuff. Imagine a library catalog collections of items that, for us, that becomes more interestingly valuable because you can say, no, look, you've got a program, we do a program with motion capture. There's a new technology related to LED motion capture. We've got some samples of it here. Come grab it. And again, it becomes the role of the librarian as the sort of the sleuth for the interesting things that facilitate what you need to research or learn or whatever. For us, that becomes a more interesting aspect of the physical collection.
Okay. So a closing question.
Okay.
Do you think print is dead?
No, we're a far cry from that. I mean, I think we're honestly generations from print being dead. However, I think we're chipping away at it pretty hard. I'm going to use the Kindle as an example of that. It's one of the first form factors where it's very easy to read, it feels like a reading experience, and you pick up a lot of benefits. And it's funny, like for me, I compare myself and my wife, and I'm much more, I'll grab a tech pretty seamlessly as long as it doesn't require driver downloads and blah blah blah. Wife though, she's your classic. She reads 3 books a week. She just churns books. She likes the experience of the folding papers back. And this was the first time we went on a trip in May, and I handed her the Kindle. She read 3 books. She said, "Oh no, it's fine." It worked just fine, and in many ways it was better because it allowed me to swap between books quickly. So I think we're chipping away at it, and there's a part of it that makes me kind of happy, and that is I think that a lot of I've seen people who become so enamored with books as a physical thing that I don't know, it's almost a weird entrapping thing where it's like I have my books, I got my mounds of books, and it's like I'm not it's all about the book, and I'm like it's stuff, and at some point stuff gets in the way of being fluid and experiencing other things, and so I like the idea of electronic books and things like that because it makes it easier for me to have in front of me. I don't have the 3 or 4 books that I could likely have on my nightstand book. I've got 1,000, and if I want to sample some Christopher Moore, and then I want to jump over to do some Gladwell, and if I want to reach over some tech papers, it's all there, and I can move, and I can be seamless about it, and I can just sort of follow where my mind is taking me. And so I think we're getting close, but it's a long, long ways away.
Okay, well, thank you very much
Sure.
for taking time out of your day to
Of course.
talk to us. Thank you very much.
No problem. Fun.